Hello everyone and welcome to our Just2Easy live webinar.
Hi everybody, welcome to the live webinar that we have, as Hiba mentioned.
We are your presenter today. My name is Hiba.
And my name is Julie.
And we are so thrilled to be here today to facilitate this webinar to you. We feel grateful to be here today and we are so glad that you're all able to join us, and especially we know that many of you are teachers to be there.
Yeah.
It's their time, and we know that this time can be very busy for you. So thank you again for joining us. We really hope this webinar will be worth your time. And this webinar is presented by the Knowledge Hub company and associated with Just2Easy. Okay, Julie, just to give a quick overview to our attendees today of what is Just2Easy. Well, it is an award-winning platform filled with creativity tools for use across curriculum. It's a complete remote learning solution for schools with tools, applications, games for math, English, computing, and cross-curricular activities. Are you excited, Julie, today to learn more about this platform?
Of course, especially it's all about math, so I'm really excited to know more about that.
Yes. So I hope you love math too. I am sure our attendees are excited too. And of course, our attendees will have the opportunity to ask questions. So please remember that it's an interactive webinar, so please just feel free to ask any questions at your convenience in the chat box. There's no rules. And also we would love really to hear more about you. So just kindly write in the chat box more about you, what grade you are teaching, and from which school.
Yeah, that's great, Hiba. So before we start, I'll just give a quick introduction to our attendees, what we're going to talk about today, especially our presenter. So, you know, Hiba, if you're teaching math, you may have used a wide range of applications. You might search different application resources and even activities grab all over the web, right? Just to teach math. But, well, in these sessions, we will be able to explore so many features, not to go in any other applications, but in one easy platform that will provide our teachers most tools and deliver huge benefit for teaching and learning math. Not just in class, but also remotely, which is very timely in these situations, right? We'll also explore how to use SAMR model of integrating technology, and we will explore Just2Easy math tools from easy and effective to advanced and outstanding, covering K to 8 and beyond. And of course, at the end of the sessions, as you said, we will close by question and answer. So our attendees will have all the privileges and opportunity to ask any questions to our presenter. And this webinar will be 30 minutes. So it's not just very long. We'll make it 30 minutes webinar. And it will be recorded. So our attendees will get the recorded sessions later on to share with their colleagues and also to maybe to replay it later on, right? And just we say that it's a webinar presented by the Knowledge Hub. So let me just give a quick introductions about our company and ourselves. So me and Hiba are professional e-learning trainers from Knowledge Hub. We have several years experience in education industry, specialized in e-learning programs. So we are presenting the Knowledge Hub, which is a Middle East indisputable leader in education center for the past 20 years. Mostly, Knowledge Hub provides educational solutions and technology integration in K-12 schools and university. We also offer state-of-the-art ICT solutions that support 21st century, and we could say that we successfully established international presence with our partners in USA, UK, Europe, and Asia Pacific. Right? So, Hiba, let us introduce the Just2Easy company.
Now it's time to introduce to you Just2Easy. Now Just2Easy is the leading British educational technology that is provided for K-8 teaching and learning since 1994. Just2Easy is used by thousands of UK schools every day to deliver the digital literacy in all subjects and has won multiple BET awards, including Best Digital Tools for Teaching and Learning. Just2Easy are now a Knowledge Hub partner to support Emirati schools.
Brilliant. So we're so proud that Just2Easy is our partner. And just to give a quick introductions about our presenters, so Alistair Cameron will be leading our today's webinar. He is an instructional technologist. He is a professional development consultant, and he is the director of Just2Easy. He is passionate about solving education challenges, especially with technology, and he has over 15 years experience working with government and schools in 49 countries, developing systems and use of technology in teaching and learning. So let's welcome Alistair Hiba.
Yes, let's welcome Mr. Alistair. How are you, Mr. Alistair, today? And thank you so much for being with us today. So,
good morning, ladies. Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. Please get my face off of that screen as fast as you possibly can.
Yeah, that's good.
It's an absolute pleasure to be here, and wonderful to be partnered with Knowledge Hub, and also to be able to bring our tools to schools in Emirates. I need to share my screen with you, so I'm going to just take that over, and then as I do that, I'm going to make sure I get that right. Share, and there we go. I'll share my screen, and hopefully you'll be able to see my screen.
Yes, yes.
And in that breath, I'm so grateful for that really wonderful introduction from you both there. Thank you, Hiba, and thank you, Julie. The description of Just2Easy that Hiba kind of gave there is absolutely spot on, and in fact, we're not just the leading British company for digital learning. So I would say that we are the leading UK company, because there's a whole distinction between what's British and what's UK. You know, our software is used. You would be in good hands with using Just2Easy with your students. Our software is used by all schools in London, which is where I'm sort of calling you from. Hence why I look a lot colder and a lot gloomier than the ladies there in Dubai. And all schools also in Wales, the country of Wales, use our tools for teaching and learning across the curriculum to enhance their digital competency framework, whilst supporting and scaffolding all subjects with technology. Further to that, I'm delighted to also say that we also provide our tools to every single school in Northern Ireland, which is over 1,000 schools, and our tools are there to support and enhance not just maths but English and science, and all subjects on the curriculum, whilst also providing a portfolio system and a platform for, as Julie rightly said, remote teaching and learning as well. So today's session with me, and thank you so much for joining me today as well. It's wonderful to be able to bring this to you. I'm interested to know, actually, whilst we're getting started, whether there's people on the chat that have actually heard of Just2Easy before, because we're one of those sorts of companies that you know, have some fantastic tools, some fantastic products, but outside of the UK, you may not necessarily have heard of us. So if you have, or you've had experience of using us in the past, you might have done for maybe coding or writing, do let us know on the chat. That'd be really nice to hear from you. And also where you might have heard of us from, that would be quite interesting. As this session suggests, I'm going to be focusing solely on maths. So maths teachers, I'm going to be going through a variety of different features of Just2Easy that will enhance your teaching of maths, make life easier for you, save you time, in a platform that really is, as the name suggests, really very easy to use. And that's the whole reason why we're called what we're called. Okay, so whilst I'm sharing my screen with you, you probably see that we're scrolling through my website. So that's where you can find us, just2easy.com, and you'll be able to learn more about us here. Our tools do cover a wide variety of aspects of teaching and learning across the curriculum, all underpinned by a portfolio system, which means that when you share work with students to do, all of the work that they complete is stored automatically in a place where you can track their progress, you can provide feedback and assessment over time, and it provides you with an opportunity for intervention and support, and as I said earlier, scaffolding for students in a unique one-on-one or group-by-group basis. So you have a wide variety of tools available in the platform. Maths spans a lot of these, and this is just some tweets that you can see on the right-hand side of mostly schools just talking about how they've been using Just2Easy on a daily basis to do a variety of tasks. Please, when you do come to our website, do take a quick look at the case studies. We've recently updated that to cover how Just2Easy has been used by schools actually around the world during the pandemic as well, for home learning and remote study. But for now, I'm going to go to the sign-in page where you can then get access to Just2Easy. And if you don't already have that, I would encourage you to contact Julie and the team there to get access to Just2Easy, because we can provide it as a free trial for your school, not just for you, but for your class, for your students, and for other teachers if they should like to have a look at it as well. Okay, so let's get started. We're going to get cracking into all of the opportunities to develop maths skills with your students, as the team there rightly said, looking at it from a SAMR model. But I'm not going to be concentrating so much on SAMR today. I'm going to leave that summary out of this so that we've got enough time to go through the details. Let's start with really young learners, and I'm going to take you into some tools that will enable children to practice their math skills right from an early age. And the first tool I'm going to go into to show you today is the Just2Easy infant tools. So for very young learners, we are going to cover tools for learners from kindergarten all the way through to grade 8 and beyond. But we'll touch on each of these very loosely. Where I am right now is where you would always start in the infant tools in JIT 5, which is on a writing tool, but you've got 7 other tools across the top of the screen. And the first one I'm going to touch into is the red tile here called Pictograms. So at the top of my page here, we've got a really easy way of getting children to start representing numbers as items, as objects, and to be able to count them. With these visually engaging tools, you've got some templates built in. For example, if you want to count things such as the weather, you know, what the different weather is like, what the weather is like in different countries, how many different insects or animals that you can count, right the way through to fruit and journey. So we've got some typical examples of things that you might want to count, but you can change these to anything that you want or start with a blank template. So let's have a look at mini beasts first of all here. Now, when I'm usually in the classroom and teaching with students, what would normally happen is we would take this into the real world, and we'd get children on their Kindle Fire HDs, on their tablets, on their Google Chrome devices, on their Chromebooks, or on laptops or on iPads, using Just2Easy to step outside the classroom, go and sit outside the school and start exploring the world around them. To see how many different objects that they might encounter, and we'll then be building pictograms like that. And quite oftentimes we'll find children sitting outside the classroom, looking at cars go by and seeing what, you know, different cars are even going past, and counting cars as a real world application. And you can see how this very simply works by tapping on the different items and seeing what you've got there, which I said can be changed at any moment in time. which leads more of an opportunity to ask those inquiring questions, such as, you know, how many more ladybirds did we find than bumblebees, or how many fewer flies there were than slugs, for example. And children can also make a description about this. Now, one of the things that you can do with the infant tools like this, and in fact anywhere across Just2Easy, is add voice into your work as well. So you don't necessarily have to get children to just open up one of these pictograms and use it themselves. You can create a pictogram first, save that with some audio instruction for your children to then listen to and complete. So there's learning on multiple levels, and you just simply tap the record button across the top of the page and then start speaking your instruction or questions for your children to be able to go and complete that activity. When they come to the activity, it will be just a question of hitting play and then working through the task. When your children save the task, it saves into their e-portfolio, and you can find it instantly by, when you logging on to Just2Easy, drop into pupil files and see the files there. Now let's just have a quick look at another pictogram example where we're starting with a blank template. Now let's go to a blank template. Not hugely visually engaging, but it would mean that we could either count, for example, colours. If we wanted to count colours, we could just simply fill the things that we were counting with the different colours we wanted to count, and then start counting them. If we wanted to do that alternatively with objects or predetermined clip art, we could do that here as well. So for example, we could count different animals. If the children went to the zoo, for example, you know, we could see whether count animals, and here I am just adding all the different animals into my chart and starting to add them into my pictogram. Now with the JIT program here, you can also add pictures in, and you can simply just use any pictures that you want in the background. So for example, if you wanted to add pictures in the background and then put your animals on the page for a more engaging pictogram, you can very simply do that. And as I said, all of the work is saved automatically for every single one of your students. So that's pictogram. Moving on from pictogram for maths applications, when children are starting to learn how to collect information and then analyze that information, oftentimes you then move on from pictograms into some things like charting, which is a great opportunity to start introducing things such as fractions as well, with the use of pie charts, which is here. Let me show you very simply how it's done. Again, you have an opportunity to put a template in, use one of the existing templates here to build a chart very quickly. But I'm going to simply just enter some numbers into this chart, and you can see how easy it is to start building a really simple chart very, very quickly. Now I've got the data that I've collected. I could add more into it if I wanted to, so let's have black. Let's spell that with a capital letter, and let's put 10 in there. We can count anything we want. We can add any information into this chart that we wish, and then on top of looking at the chart and analysing the information in this chart that's here, we could take away the bar chart and think about a different way of representing that information, perhaps as a pie chart, where we can then separate the pieces of the pie and then be able to understand the differences between those parts. If you wish, sometimes information is better presented in a block chart, or if you're counting things over time, for example, a line chart may be better. So that's how you can do that. Alternatively, if you want to have more than one at a time on the screen, you could then show the differences between the two types of information. So we could compare the use of a pie chart or the use of a bar chart, giving your children an opportunity to modify the activity that they were going into to then really show how they were able to interpret the information and give a better, more complete analysis and real, true, deeper understanding of what it is that they have been learning with you. Take that a stage further, of course, we can take the original information away and then represent the data in its rawest form. So there you can, sorry, not in its rawest form, in its more graphical form, so you can then interpret information from that without the full table being there. So an opportunity for students to have inference and be able to do some deeper analysis of the information that's there. Again, you can create these yourselves, or children can create these by themselves too. They can be printed. You can even save it as a picture so that it can be used elsewhere. So those are the tools for really young learners, and those are being used by children all over the world from the age of sort of 4 or 5 years old upwards. I'm now going to move into another tool, which is a surprising tool for maths, but it's a desktop publishing tool with maths tools built in. It's called digital paper, and it is simply a blank canvas for creating all kinds of work. We've integrated some fabulous maths tools in here, but simply put, you can do some really fun activities here with maths very easily. For example, we can start to draw shapes. Let's just give myself a little bit better space on here. I can, using the tools on the right hand side, just like you would with a whiteboard, you would be able to start by putting things on the page. If I want to draw a triangle, I can draw a triangle of any shape. Oops. Let's just do that again. Any kind of triangle I wish to put on the page, I can do, and I can always move them around. I can add circles and rectangles and squares. So a real great opportunity for children to identify these different shapes and to be able to create them themselves. And they can even go a step further and, you know, make the shapes different, color them, even do some really fun things just to give them an opportunity to change how they look through putting perhaps some gradients in there as well. So you can make them look really quite interesting. And of course you can have them all kinds of different colors, etc. So moving on from shapes, let's just open a new page here. I'm just going to move my window out of the way. Moving on from shapes, let's talk about measurement. With Just2Easy, in this J2E5 tool, you've got an opportunity to measure things. For example, if I'm going to put on the page, let me just do a safe web search for, well, let's go back to the measuring that we did of insects earlier on. So I'm going to find a snail. Here we go. Let's put a snail on the page. Why am I putting a snail on the page when I'm talking about maths? Well, let's have a look at lengths. With J2E5, you have the measuring tools built in, which will enable me to measure things. Now, I could simply just put some lines on the page and an opportunity for children to measure that, because let's introduce the measuring tools at the top of the page. I've got a ruler here and I can move the ruler around anywhere I want on the page. I can extend the ruler and move it, and I can rotate the ruler as well. So I can measure anything I want on the page, and I can always write on the page as well. So if I want to put some lines on the page, I can then get the children to practice their estimation skills. So I can get them to estimate the length of a line, where the children can then you know, take a rough estimate. If I look at the ruler here, I can estimate that it's going to be in the region of 7 centimeters. I could then measure and then put the ruler up to the line, put the 0 at the beginning of the line, and then measure that I'm measuring it, and it looks like 8.5 centimeters. And then one interesting feature of Just2Easy is that it will tell you the actual lengths of anything that you put on the page. So let's put the actual length on the page, and if I click on that line, there's a button over the right hand side which says show lengths, and then immediately it says 8.44 centimeters. So there we have an opportunity to do that. Again, I could do that with an actual image. So if I then, let's just use these tools here, and I'm going to just copy that. So let's just get rid of these numbers again. You can see how flexible and very easy this is to use. I could estimate that, and estimate the length of the snail being maybe 6 centimeters. I could then go and measure the snail, hold my ruler up there, and oh, that looks like it's about 6.5 centimeters. But if I move my ruler away, I could always add another line in and go from tip of the snail all the way down to its tail, end of its tail. I think that's what you call it. And then I could show the lengths, which is 6.74 centimeters. Now you could create an activity like this from scratch to then share with your students. Alternatively, you can, if I go back to the main dashboard for Just2Easy, you can upload any PDF worksheet that you've got. It will open it in this fabulous tool J2E5, which will mean that all of these measuring tools are available within your PDF. So it really does not only provide a great substitute for a simple PDF worksheet, but allows you to really explore all of the maths tools that are there. And let's just look at some more. So instead of just drawing lines on the page, I might want to calendar items coming up. Instead of just drawing lines on the page, I might want to put some angles on the page. So for example, if I just draw 2 lines, I'm going to then draw into the tools to put in my protractor. Here's my protractor. Again, I can lift it up, drag it and put it anywhere I want on the page, and I can also make it bigger or smaller to fit where I want it to be used. If I'm measuring small angles, I might want to zoom in on the screen, and I can rotate it as well. So again, let's apply the same principle here. I might want to estimate, I might want to measure, and here I go. So I'm going to estimate that that angle is greater than 90 degrees if I measure this angle here. So let's just draw freehand there and say I'm going to measure that angle. I might want to estimate that this is maybe 110 degrees, and then I can bring my protractor up, put my positioning on there, put the protractor in there, and oh, I'm rather out, because if I then look at that a little bit closer, looking at that, and it's 122. So that's how you would use the maths tools inside J2E. You can, of course, if you're looking at objects on the page, say, for example, if I was drawing a triangle there, and I wanted to have an exploration of the triangle itself, you might want to also look at the details of it, which will tell you the width and the height of the item in, perhaps in millimeters, or old school in inches, or in pixels as well. So that's the maths tools, but we do go one further with the maths tools and incorporate a compass as well. Sorry. And with the compass, we've got the ability to, let's just open the compass out, and then we've got an opportunity to draw our circles as well. And you'll see that it also goes through the degrees. If you want to, if you hold your cursor close, and if you move it further away, you can go individual units to build your circle. And then I've drawn the circle, and I can put it anywhere else I want on the page. So a wide variety of tools there for you to be using with students, but it doesn't stop there. You've then got so many options of using Just2Easy for maths applications. Let me have a look at some alternative ways of using Just2Easy for maths. Now, having already shown you the basic outline of the tools, we have a resource database, and I'm just looking at some of the examples of specific things that called up with maths, which are things such as making a tally chart, the ability to make a tally chart. And again, this is using J2E5, which gives me an opportunity to count anything I wish. So I might want to even just count dots, so I could just put dots in a column, or I could write a number or a shape in a column if I wanted to. Then if I wanted to look at something activity-wise, like a decimal activity or a puzzle, there are some really great tools here to do that. So you've got magic squares, exploring how you can put all the different numbers from 1 to 10 in the square to total it to 15. And you've got some really great ways of using number bonds. So for example, here you've got, whoops, I clicked on the wrong one. I do apologize. Let's have a look at number shapes, where you can use these tools to get your children to start counting. So we can put these on the page, maybe put the buttons on the page there, and get your children to answer the questions. So you can put the different number shapes on the page and get children to start adding them and subtracting them from each other. And these are also editable activities which can then be printed out and used on paper if you wish. Other ways that you can use these activities, and as I mentioned, these are fully editable so that you can tailor them to your needs, to your curriculum, to your teaching activity for a lesson. Things like find the missing numbers. Very simply, pop a sheet on the page with these details. You could do this from a PDF, convert it into a editable activity where you can get the children to start putting the numbers back into the number sheet, etc. Further to that, J2E can be used as an answer reveal activity. So here we go. We've got some simple addition activities, fully editable template again, where you can change the sums, you can change the questions, you can even change the format, and get children to then put their answers on the page by simply just dragging over the options on the right hand side. That can be done by just using this simple worksheet and just changing the numbers for anything that you want. Now, of course, if you want to give them an opportunity to see the right answer underneath, again, this is fully editable, so you'll be able to see how the correct answers were put together. Now, one of the fabulous tools of Just2Easy is with the ability to do all of those wonderful things with J2E5, you can then produce some fabulous things such as tessellation. So you can see how and demonstrate how on a page, oops, let's just open a brand new one here. If I put some lines on the page, so let's make a triangle here, I can then duplicate this. Might want to fill it in with a different color so we can see what they are, and then we can see how these different shapes can tessellate. So we can then use it to demonstrate and get children to practice with their ability to tessellate objects. And again, we can just copy that and keep on going with our tessellation. You can have loads of fun doing that with your children and see what different shapes they can come up with. One of the resources that's built in is the tessellating triangles, and I've just replicated that exact same thing for you to see how that works. But also one of the really fun things is an activity called Pictograms, where you can move all the pieces together and make a square. So really good maths puzzle for your children to explore there. Okay, I'm now going to just move on to some other tools that are built in, which can be easily used by students when you're starting to introduce times tables. And that's in a tool here called J2 Blast. J2 Blast has two options inside it. You've got a spelling game and a times tables game. So let's just pop into TT Blast. You can use this as a golden time activity in class, or children can practice their times tables at home. The concept of this is very simple, very straightforward. Your children, when they either practice or go live, they build up points, and with the points they get new avatars, and they then get put into a ranking system for their class and for their school, and they can even see their position in the big wide world of times tables players. And very simply, you have two modes. You've got a practice mode and a go live mode. Practice mode, you can choose the level at which you want to practice your times table, all the way through to from 2s and 4s and 5s, all the way up to 12 times table. And if you're going up to level 20, we'll give you 12 times table and even more opportunity to demonstrate your ability at Division 2. When you're playing, whatever level it is that you're playing at, if I just press go, you'll see that there is the timer at the top of the screen there, giving the children an opportunity, if you're using the British curriculum, that is, if you need to practice your multiplication times tables check or your MTC check to get your children up to speed to do their MTC check, the timer will allow them to do that there. They simply just use the number keypad and or the keyboard if they want to practice that. Now, when they're practicing, they'll get points, and when they go live, they will be playing against other players. What it's actually doing right now is showing me at 7:40 in the morning here that we've got a student who is unidentified but is in High Wycombe, the other side of London to me. We've got somebody else from London coming in too, who's now going to play a game of times tables against me. And you'll see that the children are away and playing this racing game here, and you can see the children just adding very quickly up to their own scores. Okay, one of the great things about this is that within TT Blast, you've got, the children have got their own score system, so they will be able to see the points that they've got. and also you'll be able to see the number of points that you've got, how much time that you've spent playing, which class you're in, what level you've been playing at. And of course, you will be able to see that, and you will be able to do that on a per student basis. You'll be able to then break it down on a class basis or a year group basis, or even a whole school basis. So you can tell progress of students over time in the whole school, or just individual classes or individual children at any given moment in time for a month, a week, a year, and you can just choose any student you want. And let's just have a look at Jimmy here, and you can see not only how his level of accuracy has gone up, we can look at the number of questions that he's attempted. So his number of questions that he's attempted has gone down. You can see the speed at which he's performing and the points that he's got. So he's been tailing off, but his accuracy is going up. So he's been playing less, but he's been going up. But he looks like he's been avoiding the 1 times table, 2 times table. He's been playing. He's not been practicing his 12 times table, and he's certainly not been practicing his 11s or 6s, which I know he's weaker at. And again, of course, I could just look at the whole class and I can see where students are in the class, and I can even print off certificates for them. So you can build up a school wall of the success of your children playing their times tables. Now, for British schools, if they are doing SATs, we've got SATs Blast for Key Stage 1 and for Key Stage 2 as well. Very similar sort of process. You can practice your SATs for age 5 to 7, practice there, and then you can actually take a test. And if you want, you can then go into Key Stage 2 or Key Stage 3 SATs, and then you've got the papers there, all the past papers that you could ever wish to go and practice your SATs to as well. Now, Key Stage 3 will actually give you that opportunity to practice your Cambridge curriculum maths core subject skills individually by yourself, or you'll be able to go and play them against a clock. So to get your answers in correctly, and we'll also be able to give you scores and track progress for your students as well. Okay, so that is a quick snapshot of some of the math skills, but I wanted to just sort of cross-reference those with the opportunity for maths built into J2 code. And really don't want to overlook this, because although computing as a subject is in its own right, the opportunity for building maths skills within coding is not to be ignored. So you've got the ability for children to practice their maths by looking at the logical steps and progression within the coding tools. Our lesson plans built in for all of the age ranges there for primary do incorporate a great deal of maths skills too. So I'm not going to go into that into too much detail, but with your access to J2E that you can contact to the team here today, you'll be able to get access to J2 code, have a play with the lesson plans as well. And that wraps me up for this shorter session. I hope that's been useful for you. And very happy to take any questions, either about the tools that I've shown you or other ways that you were aiming to incorporate maths into your teaching with technology.
Thank you very much, Alistair. It was really a fantastic demonstrations on J2E, especially for the math one. We have some questions here. It mentions that can we create our own questions and assign it to the students, either an assessment or assignment that they can work at home?
Yes, absolutely can. That's a fabulous question. Thank you. And that's something sort of I rushed over. You can do that in 3 different ways. Because with Just2Easy, it is a portfolio system. Every teacher has their own unlimited storage area to put whatever you want. So you can take your curriculum worksheets, open your own My Files and drag and drop them in there and with your file, with your worksheet, if that is a PowerPoint or a spreadsheet or a Word document, whatever those documents are, they can be then shared with any student you wish. So for example, if I'm looking at a spreadsheet here, like a magic square game, which was that activity I mentioned earlier on, I would simply just drag and drop that from my computer here. It would then be shareable with any one of my students. So I would then be able to share that just with Jimmy. Whoop. Oh, my screen's gone very blank there for a second. So I could then share that with Jimmy, for example, and share that with him. He would then have that document to use. Or I could share that with an entire class straight away. So I could just look at my list of students and then go, right, I'm going to share that with the whole of year one. So that's one way I could do that. If I've got a pre-existing document that I want to share with my students, that would then turn it into an editable document they could then fill in. I could just use J2E5 and use that in any way I wanted to create a worksheet. And I can just write anything I want. Not only can I write my questions.
Sir, we cannot see the screen. Maybe you could share your screen.
Oh, is it stopped sharing?
Yeah,
sorry. I do apologize. Let me just work out how to share my screen again. Share content. I hadn't realized that had happened. Sorry. So
Thank you.
Let me show that. So once again, the My File storage is your unlimited storage space. Drag and drop things here into that space. And then if I just look at, for example, this magic square worksheet, I would then simply just share it with, for example, Ava, and there it's going to be available for her, or choose an entire class, and then it'll be available for that entire class of students. They will save their own version. And the great thing is you don't even have to worry about getting them to send you that document that they are completing, because it always automatically shows it to you, because you can go and see the pupil files, you can go and see your class, you can go and see your students and see their work, whatever the work is that they have been doing there. It automatically compiles that for you. So there's no need to chase it. If it's not there, it's because they haven't done it.
That's great, because the next questions that we have here is, will I get informed if my students submitted any work? So I guess you answered that questions already.
Kind of not answered that question, but if, so once you've created a worksheet or you've uploaded a worksheet, if you want to be informed that they have done the activity, just use J2 Homework. I can assign the activity, and let's just assign it and say it's a Just2Easy activity and do this worksheet. Pop the link to the worksheet in there because you get that from your own My Files. Choose the class that you want to share that with and assign the work. It's really that simple. And if you want to see who's done the activity, this is the homework that I've done previously. You'll see who has completed it. So I can see that Josh has completed it, and from there within J2 Homework it'll tell me to go straight to his work, and it'll tell me when they did it, and it'll give me the opportunity to go straight to that work and see what it was that he actually did. And then of course the other way of doing it is with J2 PDF. Simply, if you want to convert a PDF worksheet into an editable document for children to actually write their answers on, or if you want to just tweak a PDF to make it right for your students, you can just drag and drop your PDF into J2 PDF. It'll open it, even if it's a multi-page PDF, it'll open it in J2E5. You can save your work and then share that with the students. And within there, you can even create a tick box form, which will give you the right and wrong answers and give you a report of your whole class as to who's got the right answers right and how many they've got wrong and so on and so forth.
Yeah, Alistair, we have another question. Can the students work in collaboration?
Oh, fabulous question. Really, really good question. Yes, absolutely can. In the J2E5 tool that I've been talking about, you can absolutely do that. For the younger learners, so J2E5, if you're creating or using J2E5, yes, children can collaborate one-on-one, or they can work as a whole class or just as a group in one document. It's very simple and straightforward to do that. For example, I could start by just putting, I keep drawing triangles, let's draw something instead. As soon as I've saved my activity, this is today's activity. As soon as I've saved my activity, I then get the choice of sharing that with students. So if I share that with, year 3 class, for example, I can then choose it instead of being a worksheet, which is what they will then complete and save for themselves as their individual tasks. If I change it into a collaborative document, it then means that whoever I've shared that with, this time the whole of year 3 class, they will all be able to work in this document at the same time. The edits will appear automatically at the same time, so whoever is working in this, you will be able to see who's working in it and who is doing what on that worksheet too. Again, if any of the students press save, they will be able to save their own copy of the collaborative work that's in it.
Thanks, Alistair. There's some question here also that because the work of the students will be saved on the cloud, right? So is there any limitations on the storage that will be given to the students or to the school?
Another great question. No, absolutely no limits whatsoever. It can't be any simpler than that. Students can actually use it to save their own work of any type, whether they want to save a recording that they've made, either an audio recording or a video recording. So they could be at home demonstrating with a camera their ability to solve a mathematical equation on a piece of paper, not a digital task, but simply drag and drop that into their My Files as evidence of them completing the task. And you can do exactly the same thing. You can not only record a video of you doing an activity, but you can explain it within a worksheet. So you might want to, create a worksheet here which tells you the instructions of the activity. So whatever the activity, it goes in here, but you can then drag in a video of yourself doing that activity. In this case, it's an audio recording, but it could be a video recording, and there goes the explainer of the methodology for chunking in multiplication, for example, right next to the activity that you want your students to fill in.
Thanks, Alistair. I guess one questions that we have.
Yeah, one teacher asking how I can grade or assess the homeworks.
Yeah, great question. So there's 2 ways that we can do that. We try to give you as many opportunities as possible. Within pupil files, you can then go and see your class. You find your class and you see the work that your students have been doing. If you want to actually give them a grade within this system, you absolutely can, because whenever I just see a piece of work that my students have been doing, this is a writing activity, for example, I have the opportunity to grade it on the different scales and also provide formative and summative feedback to my students. So I've got 2 ways of assessment: formative and summative assessment on any given task that my students have done. Further to that, over to the right hand side here is a star button. What that is I can then assess against a rubric based assessment for learning outcomes. So I could use this as a model of saying, yes, Eli is working towards that particular skill at that particular level or year on a particular curriculum framework. In this case, I'm looking at Rising Stars, but it can be any statement from any curriculum you wish, because we can add more in whatever you wish. And you simply just clip the statement that is the right accurate statement, which then applies it to the student, and you can then build a report of tracking against all of the outcomes that your student has made.
Thank you very much, Alistair. So I guess that's all the questions that we have. It was really a brilliant presentation of Just2Easy, especially for math. I guess so. Is there anyone else has any questions before we end up the webinar? So let's just wait maybe. So I guess if nothing, so for more information, especially for all attendees, as Alistair mentions, if you want to get in touch with us or you want to know more about the platform itself, or you want to get a free trial, so you could contact us. So we are the partner for Just2Easy. You could contact us on the mobile number, on the landline number, and even on the email addresses that's shared on your screen.
So we want to thank you and thank Mr. Alistair for joining us today for this amazing platform. So thank you, Mr. Alistair, for your time.
Thank you very much.
I want to thank our attendees.
Thank you very much, Alistair. Thank you. See you again, hopefully, on our next webinar.
Yes, and teachers, if you're still there, don't hesitate. If you're bumping into other teachers, please do note that if you're meeting English teachers, for example, over the course of the coming days, that we are also providing another webinar about using J2E for teaching English. So do feel free to share that with colleagues.
Okay. Thank you very much, Alistair, and thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Take care. Have a lovely day. Stay safe, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Bye.